Hi everybody, this is Dr. Nick. In this video, we will be clearing up the misconception that you can't have fun, fast-paced, and fluid fights in Chivalry without using feints. This video will also serve as an example for what high-level Chivalry play can look like when feints are not used at all, since many of you may not be familiar with this playstyle. Before we get into the actual fighting, I would like to take a moment to explain and show why many others and I don't use the feinting mechanic in Chivalry. As you can see in this video here, our biggest issue is that when feints are used up close on many different weapons, they become literally impossible to block. Because of this, we believe feinting to be a broken mechanic that needs to be removed or drastically changed unless we choose not to use it. Despite all that, we still manage to stay competitive and most importantly, have fun. Joining me to help demonstrate fighting without feinting is my friend and the best player I know, the Radiant. Wow, what a great fight. Radiant was quick to punish me for all my silly mistakes, even when I had him on the ropes. I can only blame my own play for my errors, and that's how it should be. I should note that my fighting is a bit suboptimal throughout this movie because recording the video cut my frame rate down to 30 FPS. This makes it more difficult to play, especially at the intense, fast pace of high-level dueling. Had I not been recording the video, my fighting would be even more fluid and include much more movement, like sprint turns and ducks. Please forgive me for not being able to show you the full extent of my maneuvers in this video. As you can see in the video so far, there's a lot more going on in high-level fighting besides the simple swinging and parrying some people assume combat devolves to without feints. Footwork, jumping, jump attacks, kicking, delayed swings, ducking, sprinting forward and around, accelerated swings, counterattacks, combos, and the list goes on. All of these moves help make up the depth of Chivalry's melee combat, and they are much more balanced and skill-based than the feint mechanic. Hopefully you've noticed Radiant and I using some of these moves in the video. Really, the only time combat ever slows down is when we're both being cautious as a result of being low on health and stamina. You may notice that we are predominantly using fast two-handed weapons in these duels. We both actually love to use every weapon in the game, but we find fast two-handers to be our best defense against people who do choose to use feints despite their controversy. It also helps keep things consistent for the sake of this video when we just use one or two weapons. I plan on releasing more videos in the future which showcase different weapons being used without feints, so don't worry, this playstyle still works even with slower weapons. We are going to change up the pace in the next section of this video as we switch to one-handed weapons. You will notice just how crazy the pace becomes as we vie for victory with combos and purposefully missed swings. On top of the already fast-paced nature of one-handed weapons, it makes for an extremely rapid and deadly duel. Despite how one-handed weapons are relatively easy to use and very hard to block, this is still one of my favorite parts of the video, since fighting with one-handers allows for even faster exchanges and combo chains. It is just very fun overall when you don't have to worry about feints, which are so common at this range. In this next section of the video, we decide to show you what these fights would be like if we were utilizing feints. In all fairness, it should be noted that since neither of us like using feints very much, we may not give it a full showing of just how much it can be used and abused. That being said, I think it does show a decent comparison to what you've seen so far, so be sure to watch closely.
Onward, brothers, to glory!
While our duels with feinting are taking place, I feel this is a good time to discuss the imbalance of the feinting mechanic. Feinting is unbalanced for 4 main reasons. The first problem is the most troublesome, and it should be fairly self-evident as to why. Feinting up close is literally impossible to read on certain weapons. One is simply unable to determine the difference between a real attack or a feint before it hits you at close range. Human reaction time is just not fast enough, and we've tested it. This problem is even further exacerbated when a player uses combo feints or waits till the end of their windup to feint and then uses an accelerated attack of some sort. This is completely inconsistent with the skill-based design melee combat in Chivalry and should stand out as broken for obvious reasons. Second, feinting is horrendously balanced for skill. Remember all those maneuvers and tricks I mentioned earlier, like delayed swings and jump attacks? Those moves are all well balanced for skill and fun to pull off. Feinting, on the other hand, is currently an easy-to-learn and master mechanic, which gives a tremendous boost in combat effectiveness. It can be used by newer and top-tier players alike to similar effect, and there are no other offensive mechanics in the game that require so little effort but reward so much. New players already have plenty of easier mechanics they can use that higher-skilled players shrug off for harder, more rewarding moves. Feinting completely breaks this pattern. I have attached an annotation in YouTube where you can learn more about the game design theory I am referring to. It is definitely worth a watch when you have the time. The third imbalance is also quite profound and seemingly obvious. It boils down to the fact that there is almost no downside for using feints as recklessly as one would like despite their huge power. You can feint and attack 6 times in a row before you run out of stamina. Even if a player did decide to attack you during your feints, you can simply feint to parry and be completely safe. It's tremendous benefit for very little risk, penalty, or effort. Lastly, feinting almost completely destroys the reactive defensive playstyle in Chivalry. Feinting rewards aggressive, face-hugging players so much by making it easy to hit your opponent and do tons of damage quickly. This problem is only compounded with how difficult it is to block or force an opponent off you once they are close. All these added difficulties make it nearly impossible for reactive defensive players to utilize their playstyle in competitive Chivalry. I want to conclude my thoughts by saying that despite all the problems I talked about, the idea behind the mechanic of feinting is not so bad. Being able to fake attacks to change up the pace of battle sometimes or throw off your opponent is not necessarily a bad design. In fact, it's probably a good one. The thing is, you can already fool your opponent in Chivalry by using jumps and quick looks up and down without actually using feints. It's sort of like using feints without feinting, if that makes sense to you. I hope I have shown you through this video that you do not need a feinting mechanic in Chivalry to have well-designed melee combat. In fact, based on what you've seen here, I would say it's worked perfectly fine without it. If the feinting mechanic was introduced in a functioning way, then I believe it could have a place. Personally, I believe the game could work fine with or without feinting, but not at all like it is in its current form. The remainder of this video will be showing off more fun fights without feints again. I will be making more videos showcasing fun without feinting, so be sure to tune in later if you enjoyed viewing this. I hope I have entertained, informed, and maybe even changed some opinions. Thank you very much for watching this far, and please enjoy the rest of the video.
Brothers, to glory! Onward, brothers, to glory!
Thank you again for watching.